Good morning, everyone. I'm calling to order the SACON Commission for Disabilities and Special Needs. This is our February 16th, 2023 meeting. It is 10:02 a.m. All commissioners are present. Robin, would you please read us the notice of meeting statement?
Yes. A meeting notice announcing the date, time, and place of the February 16th, 2023 Commission meeting was distributed February 14th, 2023 to appropriate media and other groups or individuals who have requested notification. The announcement and agenda were posted at the Department of Disabilities and Special Needs Central Administrative Office and on the website. In accordance with the Americans with Disabilities Act, the public has been notified that accommodations such as interpreters, mobility assistance, and other assistance will be provided to individuals with disabilities and special needs if requested in advance.
Thank you, Commissioner. I want to welcome you all this morning to DDSM. We're glad to have you. We have a lot of new faces at DDSM we're excited about that I want to welcome. I'm just going to name you. If you're in the audience, if you will, just stand up. First person is Lauren Truss, Program Coordinator 1 over Waiver Administration at the Central Office. The next one is Robin Young, Administrative Coordinator 1, Information Technology. Is Robin here? Zachary Burns, Administrative Coordinator, Human Resources. Deborah Littlejohn, Contact Specialist, Contact Project at Central Office. Lori Smith with Risk Management and Compliance, Analyst 2, Information Security, Central Office. John Sandifer, Audits Manager 1, Internal Audit, Central Office. Tiffany Carter, Administrative Coordinator, Operations, Midlands Regional Center. Deanna Dotson, Direct Support Professional 1 at Piedmont Autism. Shatana Jackson, Administrative Specialist, Eligibility, Midlands Regional Center. Anna Worthy, Direct Support Professional 1, Piedmont Autism. Derek Asbury, Public Information Director 2, Administration Central. Who's Derek? Julianne Ingalls, Program Coordinator 2, Haskell Witten Regional Center. Gabriel Mack, Program Coordinator 1, Operations, Central Office. Morgan O'Shields, Annual Level of Care Reviewer, Eligibility at the Midlands Regional Center. Denise Swatford, Nursing Consultant, Operations Central Office. Samuel Harley. How do you pronounce Sam's last name?
I am not sure. Derek, can you pronounce it?
I know it starts with a K.
I asked him the first day, I was like, please send me the pronunciation of your name because it is not
like,
as it is spelled. Let's just put it. It's okay. Sam K.
Sam K.
I think that's absolutely
He's the
fine.
visual media designer too here at Central Office now. We welcome all these new employees. We're glad to see their bright shining faces here at DDSN and look forward to working with them in the future. The motion, the next item on the agenda is the adoption of our agenda. Is there any additions, subtractions, changes to the agenda that need to be made? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion of the agenda as it stands, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, the motion carries and the agenda is adopted. Invocation, Commissioner Blackwood.
Dear Lord, thank you for another day to use our gifts to better serve you and for your everlasting love. Let the peace of Christ rule in our hearts and help us not to lose sight or strength to defend the rights of those who cannot speak for themselves. Protect us all from the wickedness of the world. In your name we pray. Amen.
Amen. We have minutes in our packet, if you will. I believe they're under tab 2 in your books, commissioners. And there's 2 sets of minutes. One set is from the special call commission meeting, which was the work group meeting where we did our strategic planning. And the second one is the commission meeting minutes from the 19th. One was on the 20th and one was on the 19th. Do we want to approve those together, separate? Do I have a motion?
I make a motion to approve them together.
We have a motion to approve them together. All, second, do I have a second? I have a motion and a second. All in favor, please signify by saying aye. All opposed? Hearing none, the motion carries. The minutes are approved. Commissioners update. We'll start with Michelle this time.
Yeah, I have a couple. I just wanted to, let everybody know that, Clemson Adaptive Sports is hosting the Palmetto Games. They've been doing it for, like 20 years now. So registration is open for that, and it's, April 28th and 29th. And they have air rifle, swimming, archery, tennis, track and field. And it's for any adaptive athlete with any physical impairment they're eligible to compete. They both will have an ambulatory and a wheelchair division. So I encourage you guys to get the word out and yeah, sign up.
That's great.
So, and then I also I had the pleasure of meeting Representative Tommy Pope of the 47th district. He's in my district. So I sat down with him and we had a good visit. And so it was just really, it was good to meet someone in my district.
Good. Glad you did. Commissioner Miller.
I don't have anything.
Nothing this way. No first.
I always have something, this is not easy, but I want to say it anyway. It's, I just wanted to thank all those who give personal care to those with disabilities, not only within our regional centers, but otherwise, because there are times when things happen to me that cause special needs to be happening. And I just want to, and particularly that the lady that's with me here today and other times whenever I'm here, there are things that happen that cause her to have to do extra things for me. And I just wanted to thank not only her, but all those who do that and realize that those, particularly those that do it with a giving and caring heart and those kind of things. And it's not easy for those of us that have to have extra things done, but all of us who are disabled that have to have extra things done that are not always pleasant, but some of those who cannot communicate it to you truly do appreciate it if you do it with a living heart. And I just wanted to thank all those that do that every day for all the people that we serve, for 22,000 some odd people. Thank you.
Agree completely.
Very good.
Commissioner Thomas.
Nothing.
Robin.
Yeah, I have a few.
Okay.
I attended the inaugural technology summit hosted by the Charles Lee Center and the South Carolina Human Service Provider and providers, and it was a well-attended, well-informed discussions that day, and I just really appreciate those who made it happen, because I think if we can cultivate a culture of innovation and be intentional about learning how technology can help us better serve individuals with disabilities, it will really be a smart move for DDSN and helping to serve those to the best of our abilities. So I also wanted to mention that I toured the Walgreens Distribution Center in Anderson on February 2nd. They have a 686,000 square foot building on about 109 acres in Anderson, and they currently employ 38% of people that have a cognitive or physical disability. And they've been a very strong corporate leader in hiring people with disabilities since the early 2000s. So I also just wanted to mention that I saw on the calendar that the Brain Injury Association of South Carolina and the South Carolina Brain Injury Leadership Council is hosting a conference on July 28th in Columbia titled Life with a Brain Injury Conference. So I just wanted to share that today. So.
All right, I have a few updates. I've had a busy month. I've finally gotten off of my walker and I'm now using my cane, so I'm starting to get back out in the community. So I'm excited about going back out and be able to visit with my executive directors in my area. So I'm hoping to get started back on that next month. But this month coming up, we have several important things happening in March. The Disability Advocacy Day, sponsored by ARC, is going to be March 1st at at the state capitol. I encourage all the commissioners to attend, sign up and go if you haven't done so already. I think Dr. Cover, you were there with me last year, and Robin and Michelle was with me. That's a great day to really talk to your providers and get to know them a little better. And there are a lot of folks there, families there that you can talk with, and bring your cards and give them to them so they can call you if they have a problem or need something. So that's a great opportunity. I'm hoping that we'll have a table there. I'm not sure yet, but I'm going to mention that to them about doing something like that. The South Carolina Health Service Providers Conference is March 6th through 9th down in Charleston. I'm going to go to that as well. If any of you are interested in attending the Constance or Christy knows so that they know, I think it's important for us to be there, hear what the providers need, what they want, so that we're better able to speak their voice here at our commission meeting. So if you're interested in attending, please let Constance or Christy know so they can get you set up. I believe that's all of my updates for this morning. We do have some public input, which I'm excited about. And I think that Marjorie from the ARC is here, so we'll bring her up in a minute. Amanda Whittle, are you here? The Department of Children's Advocacy. This is Amanda Whittle. Amanda, someone start a timer for us so we should start speaking, please. Christy, you got that?
My name is,
You're good.
okay. My name is Amanda Whittle. I'm the state child advocate, and I'm the director of the Department of Children's Advocacy. The Department of Children's Advocacy is a relatively new state agency that was created to administer 3 divisions that have been around for a long time. The Guardian Ad Litem program, which provides guardians ad litem for children who are in abused or neglected family court cases. And then the South Carolina Continuum of Care, which provides high fidelity intensive care coordination for children with severe emotional and behavioral needs. And then the Foster Care Review Division. So those agency divisions have been around for a long time, since the 70s. And they were part of the governor's office, part of admin. So we administer those. But in addition to that, when the new agency was created, we were charged with receiving, referring, monitoring, and investigating complaints regarding child serving agencies. And there are 9 of them. DDSN's one of them. So I want to introduce that if you've never heard that before. There are 9 different child serving agencies. It's DMH, the Department of Mental Health, Department of Juvenile Justice, Department of Social Services, Department of Health and Environmental Control, Department of Health and Human Services, Department of Disabilities and Special Needs, and then 3 schools, which are actually also state agencies: Willow Gray, John Delahowe, the agricultural school in McCormick, and then the South Carolina School of Deaf and Blind. We also receive critical incident notifications from those 9 agencies. The law says that we're to receive critical incident notifications within 24 hours of a critical incident happening regarding children. And then we have the authority to review that and then to determine whether we should do an investigation. So when a new agency starts, part of it is just getting the word out. There may be people here today who've never heard of the Department of Children's Advocacy. So part of our work was to just introduce ourselves. We did that by email. We've tried to meet with folks to let them know who we are. And so as you can imagine, the phone doesn't ring a lot at first, and then it rings a lot, right? So same way with critical incident notifications. First we weren't getting a lot, and now we've gotten, our volume has increased over 500% in the last year. We've received 8,000 phone calls, and we're a busy group. So the reason why I'm here today is because our complaints have increased regarding children who need services through DDSN. It's not so much the number as it is the complexity. And it may have been this way for a long time. I see you nodding your heads. But I appreciate that you started this morning in prayer. I have been prayerful, and Philippians 4:4 is just on my heart about how to articulate this to you in a way that conveys why I am here. I am here to advocate for folks who can't be here, who don't know to be here. I am here to convey to you a sense of urgency and empathy regarding a relatively small group of children. As far as I know, there could be many, many more. But to share with you that we were having I felt like the momentum was, has it been 3 minutes?
Finish your thought. Go and finish your thought.
Yeah, finish that thought.
You have a difficult job in choosing who your next director will be. I just urge you to find someone who who has a sense of urgency, a sense of collaboration, someone who will work with the system and build on the things that have already begun. And that if you don't, I would love an opportunity to talk more with you about
Can I
these
ask a
things.
question?
Sure, go
Can I
ahead.
ask a question? We're sure glad to have you, and I didn't really, had heard of the agency, but I didn't quite understand what it did. Would you say that the agency, your agency is a safety net? Because if there was an issue concerning a child issue, we would immediately jump on that and if necessary, call policing agencies and all that. So what do we do with you? Are you enveloped into, here's a phone call from us, or here's an email that says, here's what we're on, something happened at this entity?
It's, for me, it's not, so for our agency, it's not so much things that are happening at entities. It's situations where children need services, they need placement, and they're not getting it. So
Okay.
we're involved with, we've been attending court hearings where DDSN has been ordered to be there. We've been ordered to be there. I was in a staffing this morning with Director Mike Leach about some dually involved children, some children with comorbidities. I've been involved in interagency. I'm directly involved in interagency staffings about children where we're going, hey, this child needs ABA services, but we don't have ABA services in Cherokee. Hey, this child needs to be in a residential habilitation setting. We don't have that. And I heard after court last Thursday, somebody said, well, I've been involved in this for 26 years and it's just always been this way. So, good luck to you. And it just made me angry. It made me really angry. It really did. And that's why I came home and I thought, what do I do about that? I prayed about it. I looked on your website. I found this meeting and I signed up for it to say, we need to take that bag of hopelessness and helplessness and we need to kick it to the curb. We are the leaders of this state. You are the leaders of this state. And you need to know about this if you don't already, that there are kids and families that are doing their very best. They need intensive in-home services. They need out-of-home placement for these young people. These young people they have intellectual disabilities. That's not going to change. But we need to equip them to have the coping skills and living skills so that they can be healthy and have good well-being and their families feel supported. And you may already know this, but the Lord laid on my heart, honestly, I think it's okay to say that here, that I needed to say that to you. So.
Well, keep it up, all things by prayer and supplication, and let your request be made known unto God with thanksgiving. So, Philippians 4:4. So keep it up.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
And please take time to call us, any of us, and talk with us about
I know
what
it's a
you
weird
do.
way to meet.
I know, I know that we are working actively on some homes for children and some, what do we call them? The crisis intervention homes and that kind of thing. And I know that we have the other homes that they're working on for children with special needs. Isn't that right?
Yeah.
Yeah, the state legislature worked with us to pay for. So we're hoping to have those in operation. So
I know you got the money on July 1st.
we're ready.
It was February the
That's
16th.
right. That's
And I'm just
right.
here to say,
That's
you
right.
get in that car and crank it up, let's drive it.
That's right.
Okay.
Thank you, dear. Appreciate it.
Speak our language.
Sit back and be quiet. Sit back.
Margie Williamson with the R.
I didn't know I was gonna speak, but that's great. I mean, that's great. I can. I just wanted to, I'm Margie Williamson. I'm with the ARC of South Carolina. There's actually 4 chapters, local chapters, that are part of our network as well that provide different services. And I'm also the proud parent of a 21-year-old son with autism and receive services through the Department of Disabilities and Special Needs. So I'm just gonna say a little bit about Disability Advocacy Day. We invite everybody to be there. It's March 1st. We have a great lineup of speakers. Stephanie's going to be there speaking as well. So we invite everybody to come out and participate and listen to your constituents. They have a lot to say. We're going to have a self-advocacy rally as well. And so those folks are going to be out making sure that their voices are being heard. It actually is a partnership of organizations that put on Disability Advocacy Day. So if you want to visit, it's scpdo.org. So it's South Carolina Partnership of Disability Organizations. It's been around for a very long time. I didn't start it, but it was made up of 4 organizations, and now we're a lot bigger than that. So just inviting everybody to come out, and we hope to see you there.
Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
Lindsay Gaynor, do you want to speak? No. Okay. Lindsay is with us. She's from Community Options. You're welcome. But I'm sorry, I had you list of guests here. I thought that was my list of speakers. Y'all forgive me. I apologize. Okay, the next topic is programs and services. And, I think we have, is Jerry Bernard gonna be with us, or is he with us? Is he online?
I'm online.
Hi, Jerry, how are you?
Good, how are you?
I'm good, I'm good. You want to tell us a little bit about, Technology First State, so we can have a better understanding?
Yeah, I'm trying to share my screen. I'm not sure if that's gonna work.
Okay,
We
we have the PowerPoint in our book too.
Okay,
For now.
here we go. Can people see that?
Yes,
Yes.
we can see it.
Awesome, awesome. Well, thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. I'm representing the South Carolina Human Services Provider Association today. As Commissioner Blackwood said, that we had a conference, our first technology summit earlier this month, or last month, I should say. And one of the outcomes was to send letters to Commissioner Kerr and Interim Director Holloway to really ask for support in moving this idea of technology first within our state. And so, as you probably remember, in November, I came out and we talked a little bit about technology. I'm going to be spending a lot less time in the next few minutes talking about the technology side of it. I'm going to be talking more about the concept of what enabling technology is. So moving forward, you'll see we are in a situation where we have to rethink the way we provide services. I think the idea that we can staff services the way we have in the past and that we're going to have the resources the way we've had in the past is just not doable. And so I really like this comment that was made by a relatively smart man. I think you may know him, Mr. Albert Einstein. He says we cannot solve our problems with the same thinking used when we created them. And I think with the level of need that's now required in our state and other states, we think that other options need to be looked at. And one of those options is really looking at what Technology First can do. So what is Technology First? I have two slides that kind of describe that. This is one that was something that was taken from several conferences I was involved with several years ago. And what really talks about is that instead of seeing technology as a separate part of someone's life, it's part of the fabric of a person's life, just like what we have. We have cell phones, we use computers, we use all kinds of adaptive equipment every single day in our lives. And so our individuals should have the same option and the same abilities to be able to benefit from the technologies that are currently available. And what's really nice about the technologies that we're using, they're less expensive than they were years ago, and they're much more adaptable. And quite frankly, many of the technologies can be purchased off the shelf. And so it's a lot easier to gain access to be able to use those technologies. So as a provider system, we think that really looking towards the future, we need to bring that into our state. A more clinical definition is that Technology First is a framework for system change where technology is considered first in the discussion of support options, available to individuals and families through person-centered approaches to promote meaningful participation, social inclusion, self-determination, and quality of life. And this was done by Shay Tanis, who's a professor at Kansas University, and they have a disability system there where they do a lot of research, and they really see that technology can really be a benefit for that. So when we're talking about Technology First, we're really talking about changing a system of services where technology becomes part of the framework of different types of services that can be offered within a service delivery system. So it's not just putting in devices in homes, but it's creating a service system where different types of technologies become part of the service delivery moving forward. So just to give some perspective, I know that many people think that it's fairly new. Actually, enabling technology actually started in 2004, and it's been around for a little while. Actually, Indiana was the first state in 2011 that actually was able to develop a reimbursement structure for technology. And as you can see, over the years, it's been growing, and I'll show you another slide in a minute. Ohio was the first state that actually came out with the declaration of being a technology first in 2018. And in 2023, there is an alliance forming, a national alliance, similar to what you would see for a national trade organization on technology, where organizations throughout the United States are able to join, learn about technology, get resources, get training, and everything else that comes along with that. And we think that that's a great development moving forward. The other thing also is that we look at 2011, you'll see that there was one state that was actually providing technology. In 2015, it went up to 9 states. And of course, in 2022, we're looking at 28 states throughout the United States that are doing technology. Some of our closer neighbors, North Carolina and Tennessee, are in the forefront. And if I had to provide you with a resource, and if you want to learn more about how the states have changed their processes, Tennessee would be the state to go to. They are right now the leaders in the country when it comes to technology implementation and changing legislation and everything else that goes along with that. And if interested, I could give you a contact name of the state director there who's overseeing that project or has been overseeing that project in that state. So this is another piece, and you're probably wondering, well, why are we talking about this? Because this is actually one of the reasons why many states are moving in this direction. There's a reality here that we need to accept, and that is that that staffing is going to be an issue. That's going to be ongoing. We have to figure out moving forward how we're going to continue to provide services, but we're going to have to be able to do that with less staff because there just isn't that availability anymore. Some national data shows that we're going to see about a shortfall of about 7.8 million direct support professionals in 2026. And you can see on the left side of the circle that a number of providers are already making some pretty difficult decisions. Some of them are discontinuing services. It's about 63%. 83% are turning away new referrals. And we think that's only going to get worse if we don't find alternative solutions to providing services. And we certainly think that technology is not the answer. I want to be very clear about that. But we do think that it is a tool that I think could help as we move forward. So why technology first? Again, this is a slide that probably you're familiar with. We kind of shared it a couple of times. Obviously, cost effectiveness is a big part of that. And then from the service side, it allows people to have more control over their lives. It promotes more natural supports. So they're able to manage their environments without having staff around them all the time. It also helps building capacity. If you're able to serve more people with less staff, it certainly helps with that. It empowers independence. Certainly, it's less intrusive. And again, natural support, because technology is viewed by CMS as a natural support. It's also a more effective use of staff time. So staff are not just there to watch people, but they're engaged in doing other things that individuals are able to do. And then, of course, it addresses the workforce crisis, or at least helps with the workforce crisis. So those are some of the reasons why we think this is a good direction to go into. So some of the things that need to be considered, and again, we just kind of came up with a small list. There's a lot more to it, but in kind of a broad definitions, certainly getting legislative support is going to be key. There's going to have to be some legislation to support this. There needs to be changes in the service definitions, changes in regulations, reimbursement systems. There needs to be incentives built into rates for providers, education and training, and certainly working with CMS to initiate some of those changes moving forward. Some recommendations that we think might be helpful is establishing a project work group that involves key stakeholders, start to begin educate legislators, start developing some realistic goals. And probably the one that I think is most important, because we don't want to be reinventing the wheel, is consulting with other states who have gone through this process and done so successfully. So those are kind of the things that we wanted to just bring you back. And again, this is another quote from Dustin Wright, who was one of the leaders in the development of Tech First and unfortunately passed away untimely several months ago, but has always been an inspiration to a lot of us who've been working in this area. And he says a very important thing, because what he's saying is that the Tech First movement is a deinstitutionalization movement of our generation. And what he's trying to say is that technology, the moving towards a technology first system is not an easy process. It takes several years to do that. It's not, you just say, well, as of tomorrow, we're going to be a tech first. There are many things that need to be done. There are many regulations that need to be addressed, and so forth. So technology first is just the description of all the tech stuff that's currently out there, and a focus on helping people with technology. So that's sort of a very quick overview of what technology first is. And if there are any questions, I'd be more than happy to answer those.
All right, Jerry, this is Stephanie. The question I think I have is, what, as a commission, what do you want us, what can we do to help? Is, I think, the best way to say it. Do you want us to serve on this project work group with you guys? Do you want us to establish that work group? Or do y'all want us to, I think we're kind of, we got to figure out what exactly you need from us.
If you would allow me to get back to you on that, only because as I represent the association, I want to make sure that I don't overstep.
Okay.
And so I want to make sure, I would, if I were saying, I would say all of the above of what you just said, but I want to make sure that we have some clarity from the association and how you guys can support that initiative. And since it's relatively new for everybody, I think we're still trying to figure that out. But we will definitely get back to you with some ideas of how we think you guys can help support this.
I think that would be great. I know several of us have visited with you all, seen the technology up there, and I know that that's been a high priority for myself and Commissioner. I know Commissioner Blackwood's been, I think Commissioner Miller's been, you've been.
Yeah, Charles Lee has been there.
You've been, who else has been to Charles Lee? You've been, David, have you been? Okay, so there's a lot of us that really understand the need for this, and we have been a huge advocate for integrating technology in our facilities if possible. And really, that's one of the things that we've really focused on the last 2 years. Am I correct? And we've asked, continuously for it. So, we're more than willing to help however we can. So I encourage you to just get me or one of us something that says this is what we need from the commission. And I think we could move forward with some of that if you'd like for us to.
That would be awesome. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for presenting. I appreciate it.
People need to realize, providers need to realize there's some relatively inexpensive, very relatively
Yes.
inexpensive things they can do
Yes.
to help this matter
I
quite a
think
bit.
a lot of the problem, if
They
I'm not
have the money for
mistaken,
them.
is that the regulations are so messed up at this point in South Carolina, and the laws are messed up a little bit in South Carolina that won't allow some of the things.
The reimbursements they won't.
That's right.
That's
So
what needs to be changed.
That's what we've really got to work on.
But there are some things that the providers can.
Yeah, let us know what we can do, Jerry, okay?
Thanks.
Yes, I will. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Anybody else got a question for Jerry? All right, thank you, Jerry. All right, moving on. All right, we're going into committee business, finance and audit. Commissioner Blackwood?
Okay. The Finance and Audit Committee met on February the 8th. We don't have anything to approve in terms of financial items for this meeting and that we discussed in the Finance and Audit Committee meeting. But we did review all the contractual agreements DDSN has in place with providers and consultants. That list is provided to the commission as promised quarterly behind tab 4. Quincy added some additional detail to this chart from the last time we've seen it, changed a little bit with the categories so they're more descriptive, provides a little bit more detail about some of these specific contracts. We provided that to you today to look through and answer any questions that you might have. I think it was in 2019, the commission asked for this exhaustive list of DDSN contracts. So we've just been trying to look at this periodically to take a look at the information here and just to be informed about the agreements that we have in place. So that is my update. And if anyone has any questions on these contracts.
Oh, Quincy?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
Poor Quincy.
Or needs more information
Quincy,
about
great
that.
job with the chart. I want you to know how much we appreciate your work. It looks great. It really provides a good clarification for me as to what the contracts are.
It really does. You really do, you do a better job of this than anybody else ever has, which I'll probably be saying a lot more when it comes to you. But I did want to mention one other thing that's down here that I thought was very interesting. It talks about pastoral services. So I'd like to, if there's any pastors listening or anybody that would like to talk to their pastor about it, there are some pastoral services that we would need and we have for a contract, and the contract is for $13,000 a year. So it's not just a small amount of money. So if there are any pastors that would like to get involved with helping those with disabilities, they need that as much as they need other things that the other sports they have. So I would keep that in mind. And there's only one down here that does it right now, but I'm sure that we need a lot more. And so we'd encourage people to look into that. I would think you'd have to talk to procurement around here about how that would work, but we have a new one for procurement that is trying to make it easier for those that need to do that. So we would encourage that. Thank you. Or I would encourage that. I'm sorry.
Anything else for finance?
That's it.
All right, let's move along then. All right, let's go to policy. Mr. Malcolm.
Okay, I'm Barry Mappers. For anybody here that doesn't know, you'd have to have not been here in 3 years not to know it, but I'm chairman of the policy committee. And we have two policies we're talking about today. The first is 73401 DD, which is individuals and family support relating to respite, which provides services to assist families who care for individuals with intellectual disabilities and related disabilities, autism and other ones. And this, we've made some slight changes to this policy that needed to be updated for a long time. And it will go out for public comment. And when it does, it'll come back to the committee, but we'd like to have come as a motion to second to bring it out of our committee to be put for public comment.
Today.
No, not today.
All right. Anything else?
I'm sorry, it shouldn't be today. What am I? It shouldn't be today because we have 10
Yeah, 10 more days.
more days of public comment. So
Okay.
Not reading you correctly, sorry.
That's all right. That's all right.
The
Anything
next one is 73801 DD, which is, this is basically just a February update where we went through it and we're going to have another one to go for 10 days of public comment coming up soon. But there's really not anything to vote on in this particular meeting. I just wanted,
That's
this is
okay.
here to update. I'm sorry.
No problem.
I'm confused about because normally we vote on these things. It's not time to do that. So why am I here saying this?
We're slowing it down a little bit.
I'm trying to move forward on other policies because we have so many policies, but I'm trying to put these ahead of the sale, so I'm sorry.
You know, the
Anyway, we just
LAC,
haven't.
you're doing exactly what the LAC asked us to do. So
Thank you very much.
make sure that we're following through on their request. And their request was to update these policies. And I think you're doing exactly what they asked.
We're working on that. And so anyway, we'll have another report for next month. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Okay, sounds good. Anything else from policy?
Not today.
All right, our old business. We're gonna go to the quarterly incident report. Ann Dalton. Ann,
Good morning.
good to see you this morning.
Nice to see you all. So in your binders, you have the incident management data for the second quarter in fiscal year 23. We start off on the charts that are colored in blue with a summary of allegations of abuse, neglect, and exploitation. For the first half of fiscal year 23, there have been 298 individual A&E allegations among 207 distinct reports. On an annualized basis, the number of allegations and reports are where we would expect them to be for this time of year. Remember, allegations, we want allegations whenever there is a concern that there may have been any misconduct. So allegation does not equal substantiated reports. Thus far, we have had 7 arrests and 81 verified standard of care findings among these allegations of abuse, neglect, and exploitation. There have been 573 critical incidents reported in community settings, and this number is comparable to prior years. For death reporting, we have 52 reports of death in the past 6 months, and this number is also consistent with what we would expect at this time of year. On the next page for the charts that are mostly colored with green, the abuse, neglect, and exploitation report reveals that there have been 90 allegations in the first half of fiscal year 23 among 73 distinct reports. There have been 6 arrests and 29 verified standard of care findings among this group. We have 67 critical incident reports for the first half of fiscal year 23 and 13 fatalities within the regional centers. Our office has recently been working with providers and the appropriate state investigative agencies to reconcile reports that were still reflected as open investigations for calendar year 2022. During this process, we became aware of several reports that were late in having the correct dispositions recorded from the Ombudsman's office. And we also found 5 arrests associated with abuse allegations among our community providers. So we have worked with those providers to ensure that the addenda have been submitted and the appropriate disciplinary action has taken place. And we're also looking at internal process improvement and revisions to our incident management policies to ensure that the addenda are submitted on a timely basis. We are also working with the Department of Health and Human Services on the development of a new incident management system. That process will, of course, take a while, but we are very happy to be a part of that development for a new system in the next year or so. So in addition to the incident management data that you have in your packet, you also have an overall summary of quality management activity that's just been provided for your reference. This activity includes our contracted administrative compliance and individual service reviews, our licensing reviews, incident management and complaint resolution, as well as information about provider compliance work. As we are moving into 2023, we will have our first mortality review committee in late February, and we are continuing the development of our post-payment claims review process. We have also just recently kicked off the National Core Indicator Survey process and working with our providers for a nationally recognized data set.
Questions, Commissioner Miller?
Yes, I just want to know, children's advocacy, is that included in these?
So previously, we have not provided reports directly to children's advocacy. I suppose that you may receive reports from OPM that we are making, but I'm not, you're shaking your head, so no. But we are happy to provide whatever information you need.
The law requires it. We would appreciate it.
Okay.
Thank you. I'll touch base with you. I'm Amanda Whittle, and we've talked before.
Yes, we have.
But I put a big star like all and all. Okay.
Sounds great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
To be able to see that in this chart.
I agree. Ann, can we separate out the children's services report as well next time?
We can. We do not have a large number of children that are supported within our programs. It's actually only about 20 to 25 kids, depending on whether or not you want to cut it off at 18 or 21.
Yes.
But I'll be happy to pull that out separately.
Y'all figure it out.
That's a question for her. Does she deal with 18 or does it cut off at
Yeah.
18 or 21?
18.
Okay, well, then that answers that.
Yes.
That'd be great. Thank you, Constance. I mean, Ann.
Thank you.
Right out there, called the wrong name. All right, next, we're gonna have an update on Edmetric and Sage Squirrel consulting with Harley. Harley, we really enjoyed, the strategic planning. Y'all did a great job.
Great, well, I will relay that back to Erica at Sage Squirrel. So first I'll just talk briefly about Edmetric. So of course, Edmetric is a contractor that we're working with to examine instruments, assessment instruments to better identify level of need for individuals served by DDSM. And so at this point, Edmetric has made recommendations on exemplar instruments. There's a lot of them though. Some of them are very specific to certain aspects of health and life. But so we have a lot of information from them to really go through and see what we think might be best to pilot with regards to an instrument or multiple instruments. One thing that we're waiting on before we make any decisions or move along further in the process is to speak with some states that have some homegrown or internally developed instruments. And so we wanted to talk with them about why they, went in a direction of creating something homegrown, or, what were some of the standardized instruments missing with regards to getting to the point of creating their own. And so basically limitations. So we're hoping to have those meetings scheduled soon, and then we'll continue to discuss with Edmetric plans for piloting and implementation once we make decisions or recommendations around specific instruments to pilot. So we're waiting on those interviews or discussions with other states, and then we'll continue to meet and discuss next steps with them. For Sage Squirrel is our strategic planning vendor. Again, thank you all for taking the time out of your busy schedules to meet with them in person. And I thought that the session went really well, and they appreciated everybody's time and input. They're currently working not just with y'all, but with providers, with partner agencies, advocacy organizations to schedule times to talk and collect information as part of their data collection process. And so there's a lot of meetings scheduled as Erica talks with different individuals. Sometimes she gets more recommendations for additional people to talk to. And so that's great that people are willing to share, important work that, is going on around our state. And so the more information they have, the better. And the better our strategic plan will be and will reflect all of those voices. And so our next steps are really to continue that data collection process into March, and then we'll get a summary from them about sort of where things are going and what information has been provided to Sage Squirrel. Then we will also be scheduling some in-person and virtual regional events, and so we'll talk through what makes sense for that. And so hopefully those will be happening, over the summer. And then there'll also be a survey developed in coordination with Sage Squirrel to collect additional information and be more widespread, and we can share it widely. So beyond the phone call. So I encourage you all, if you have received, and not just y'all, but all listening, if you received a contact from me or from Sage Squirrel to participate in this process, we really encourage you to take the time to do it. It's really important to us, and it's the only way that we'll be able to, truly capture everything that's going on and ensure that all the voices are heard and that our strategic plan reflects those we serve. So that's all for me, unless you'll have questions.
Well, I'll tell you, I did my one-on-one with them, and it was very productive, I thought. So if any of you commissioners have not done yours yet, make sure to call her and set up a time, or email her back and set up a time to do that meeting.
And I did speak with her this week. We just had an update meeting. And so she was going to be reaching out by phone to some of the people that she had not been in contact with. So again, you may have, if you missed the email, that's understandable. I know not everybody's in their emails all the time, like I am, but point being is that, she'll be calling as well. So hopefully she can touch base with y'all in the room or y'all online.
It didn't take but like 30 minutes. I mean, so it was really quick.
Absolutely.
And it was I had mine too, and it was very, very informative and worth mentioning. Please tell her the next time you talk to her that if there's anything else she needs from those of us, even that she already had her first meeting with, I'd be happy to talk a little more. Because it was very helpful.
Well, we appreciate y'all agreeing to do that, and I will definitely let her know. Any other questions?
Any questions for Harley? Thank you, Harley.
Thank you.
All right, next we have Miss Valerie Duncan, our new procurement queen.
I don't know if I deserve that title at all. Good morning.
Good morning.
Just wanted to update on the metal detectors that was talked about at the previous commission meeting. Originally, the request for the approval of security services came before the commission at last month's meeting. And we were requesting approval for the security services. Out of that conversation came the commission's request for metal detectors and to seek solicitation for security service with and without the metal detectors. However, through my research, I determined that metal detectors are on state term contract. And so what you have in your packet is an actual quotation from the state term contract vendor with a outfitting of what metal detectors would look like in the building downstairs. He gave us the option to have the walk-through metal detector as well as 2 wands. The wands would be used if you walk through the detector and it were to go off, that metal was detected. You would then be wanded for a further security check. The vendor came and assessed our area. He made sure that we had sufficient power for metal detectors in the front lobby area and some adjustments that we would need to make for furnishings and things along that line in order to set up a metal detector, set up downstairs in the front lobby area. So the metal detectors will not be included in the solicitation for security services. The services will be solely to have a body in the building to do walkthroughs and to have that front space with visitors that are coming into the building on a regular basis. We do still have that solicitation in process. It's currently at state procurement for approval of a delegation so that we can process it in-house through procurement, through my section, and get that going. It's anticipated that we would be completing that somewhere in the month of April. And we will be back to the commission for a further approval once it's ready for an award prior to issuing that to the vendor. The current quotation that you have is for a total, for that particular setup, is a total of $9,864. I did take it a step further because after consultation with Constance, our interim state director, we determined that we're not really sure if metal detectors are necessarily needed in that area, but we did want to respond to the commission's request. My secondary research with that was to only get request a quotation for the wands only. So even if we got security services and they're calling, tell us they're announcing. So even if we obtain security services for an actual security guard at the front desk, we could outfit them with a wand, with 2 wands, and that acquisition still would also be under state term contract, and that would have a total cost of $2,000, a little bit less than $3,000 to just receive the wand and not the actual walk-through metal detector. Okay. So this is just an update to the commission's previous request for inquiry.
Is this a security issue? We may put you on the agenda for our, because it is security, we are allowed to put you in executive session to discuss this further. So we'll probably put you on next month's agenda for that in executive sessions since it is security related. Okay.
Is there any additional information you'd like to receive at the executive session meeting so that I can be prepared for that, just in case it's a question?
Software
Yes, sir.
update that's contained, does that have to be changed or?
It does not require them to link into our network in any way. This is solely a mechanical issue. As I said, the vendor did do some research with Andrew Theron, who's our engineering director, to make sure that we had the appropriate power sources to support this type of setup. And we've certified that we do have sufficient power and backup support here in the building to support it. It would not require any additional software outside of the normal setup of the equipment.
Is there an outdated?
I'm sorry?
Is there a time period where it's outdated or?
I don't know if this actually has a useful life as far as the equipment itself. We would probably, just because of the cost, we would have some type of tracking mechanism for the equipment itself. But because it falls under what the state considers as a fixed price, what the state considers as something that requires an asset so that it's trackable,
We likely would not need to do that, but if at some point it did have some type of expiration where we needed to update periodically, we can also secure that with the vendor as well.
You look into that and let us know.
I will. Any further questions? Thank you so much.
I got one, Phil. I
Go
got
ahead,
one,
Larry.
if you don't mind, sorry.
That's fine.
Sorry.
That's all right.
But it did relate to the detectors, directly related to security. When you're talking about, security, are you, the price we're getting, is that gonna put a security guard at each entrance or only one entrance?
That would put a security guard at the front entrance only. The other entrance points to the building are secured through our swipe mechanism that's issued by our HR department. And those entries are solely for DDSN employees that are stationed here at central office. The front entrance is the only entrance where visitors would actually enter. And I think that was the point of concern for the commission. So that's why we were stationing it downstairs in that front lobby area.
And does that, and, okay, well, related to that, and is this price going to include somebody to be here all night to watch the building? Is that what it is for too?
The solicitation, which is a separate process for the security services, does have a specific hour to hour time period. I don't have that information right in front of me, that our executive level staff had determined would be appropriate for the building. And the understanding is that once we implemented the security services for the building would actually have hours. So if you were, say, 7 to 7 was the hours, after 7 PM, there should be no one in the building without appropriate permission from executive management.
Well, we just need to evaluate, make sure that we have enough of that time covered is all I'm getting at for whenever we discuss this further.
And the alarm, we did work on the alarm thing, correct? Yes, ma'am. We got that changed. Yes. Okay. Well, what would actually happen is because we're actually going to have security services in the building and it wouldn't be beyond a certain time, once the building has been secured, they would set the alarm and then counteract that in the morning when it's time for the building to open again. Excellent. All right. Okay. Thank you so much. Thank you. We appreciate it, Valerie. All right, next we're going to new business financial update from Quincy.
Good morning. So,
This is tab 7 in your book.
yes, tab 7, spending plan update. You'll see the year-to-date performance of the adopted fiscal year 23 spending plan in the amount of $939 million. Through January, the agency has spent approximately $190 million in agency cash. The direct fee-for-service Medicaid billing expenditures through January were approximately $368 million. So to date, the agency is currently on target with projections and slightly over by 1.10%. This variance is going to continue to increase for the remainder of the fiscal year, mainly due to the rate increases that we've seen this fiscal year for home and community-based services that weren't in the original spending plan. So that's why we're tracking above.
Do you have any, may I ask, do you have anything to do with a monitoring of the contracts? We have about 4 pages worth of contracts in here, about $100 million. Does that fall under your ambit?
Yeah. So our budget department monitors the budget for those contracts. Then we have our serve unit actually sends out those contracts to those, whatever it's a medical contract or, a provider. They would actually be the one getting those signed and making sure we're within contract. We're not overspending contract.
And who does that?
Our serve unit, there's 3 staff in there right now.
So they would look at the contracts themselves to make sure.
Yeah, we actually get those contracts signed, and then they're the people who are actually tracking this.
I've forgotten what the policy, it seems like we covered this about a year ago, but I always blame COVID fog for not remembering. It's not my age.
No.
You understand that? So on one of these, I did notice, Madam Chairman, that it had, the name of the outfit is Aging with Flair.
Mhm.
And I wondered how much of a conflict it might be if I got a cut of that, since I feel like I'm going downhill rapidly.
Madam Chair, it is his age.
And I can't get out of it. So I saw the agent and I thought I'd just tell the truth. It's not fog, I'm getting old.
They actually serve children for early early interventions.
Oh, it says
Aging
aging.
is out.
Oh.
It's not the aging you're thinking about, but the time frame.
Could we modify the contract to?
Any questions on the financial report?
I'll just make a motion to approve this as presented.
We have a motion to approve,
Spending
we have a second, and a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, hearing none, motion carries and it's approved. Thank you, Quincy. Director's update.
Yes, would you, give me a call sometime tomorrow? Give me an email about times you might be available tomorrow. There's a couple things I wanted to ask you about. Thanks.
All right, and Executive Director Holloway is going to give this report.
And I'll be very brief. I'm gonna start off by thanking you guys for giving me the opportunity to talk this morning. I'm gonna start off and talk about the exciting things we've been doing at DDSM for the past couple of weeks. I want to highlight the agency's work on providing resources and training for autism spectrum disorder, ASD. Many professionals who work with individuals with ASD don't know the depth of resources available to them. DDSN has been providing trainings highlighting those resources and including crisis and intervention steps for de-escalation of behaviors. DDSN staff recently presented training to case managers at the South Carolina Autism Society, as well as to staff at McIntyre's National Guard based in Eastover, and to the USC Developmental Pediatrics Department. Trainings were also conducted with intervention staff at child care facilities and the Charleston County School District. In addition to this training, we recently completed our training course with the South Carolina Special Olympics to improve their staffers' ability to work with those with special needs. Our relationship with that organization continues to grow, and we'll keep looking for ways to partner with them in the future. And in another area of the agency, communications and IT are working on updating the website. Yay, everybody say yay. And migrating it to a new platform. We hope to have that completed, most of the web transfers by the end of May. To finish agency updates, I want to highlight some of the upgrades and beautifications that we've been doing at our regional centers. We're installing new drainage pipes, replacing countertops and rails, and making other modifications at Salibi Center. We're also progressing in our power grid project at the Millen Center. The transformers for this work has been ordered, and we'll soon be advertising bids for that project. At the Whitney Center, we are adverting for bids for the new sensory garden. So we're doing some exciting things to improve the quality of life and beautification at our regional centers. I want to end my presentation today with spotlighting some of our new employees. Derek Asbury, who is also part of our communication team. Sam, I'm glad you came in the building. Sam, how do you pronounce your last name?
It's Kostuic.
Okay,
Yeah.
I wasn't even close. I was so far off.
Yeah, I would have messed that time up. It's Stewick.
Yeah,
Kostuic. Derek will be leading the team as a public information director, and Sam will be serving as our visual media designer for the agency. Sam has been tasked with doing photos. He's doing bios for all of the executive staff now, and he's also going to do headshots for us. So I'm excited about that. I'm going to do a glamour shot. I want you to say 20 years old, Sam. And cover up my grades.
Yeah, I might need to have one read that.
I want to end by highlighting two long-term employees who are going to be retiring in the next couple of weeks and months. I'm going to start with Lynn Branham first. Lynn, stand up for me. And, Lynn, who serves as our project clerk. Lynn has been working at DDSN for 54 years. As a clerk in 1968, and recall the names and information of persons supported being on index card in her early years at DDSN. In her time here,
Years old when she started. I'm gonna beat her to it.
in her time here, she has seen the name of the agency change, the construction and development of various regional centers, and had a hand in setting up databases and various programs to make life better for staffers and supported persons. I'd like to personally thank Lynn, and the agency thanks Lynn for her dedicated and remarkable service for over a half century, and congratulate her on her well-deserved retirement.
When you put it that way.
So we have a little token, we're going to party next week. We have a little token for you this week, Lynn. Say thank you. Somebody.
Mr. K have his camera. I'm gonna call him Mr. K.
Congratulations. Ms. Lynn was one of the first people I met at DDS.
First people. Yep. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Got it.
If you need help, let me know, please.
Just waiting for your retirement.
Nothing.
Nothing, yeah.
Thank you
Well
so
deserved.
much. Yes, thank you for your.
I'm going to end by highlighting Steve Von Holland. Where's Steve? There's Steve. So Steve will be retiring after 31 years at DDSN. And Steve holds a special place in my heart because Steve and I traveled the state. And when I first started here at DDSN in 2020, I'm trying not to get emotional, Steve. Steve was the first person who took me under his wing and showed me how DDSN works. Steve has been here for 31 years. When I got the news that he was retiring, I was at a doctor's appointment. I literally could not get out of the car. I was like,
She's not fibbing. She called me.
I called her and said, I don't know who do Steve Van Holland is retiring. Just a little bit background on Steve's position. So Steve first served as a unit psychologist for the Millen Center from 1991 to 1994. Before leaving the agency for a different job, he left, but he came back. He returned in 1998 as the DDSN liaison psychologist to DJJ. He received promotions until he was named Director of Clinical Services in 2008, and he has since served in that capacity since. Steve has been invaluable, and the next person who we try to find to serve in that role will have some pretty big shoes to fill. Like I told Lynn earlier, Steve, we're going to party next week, but I do have a little token of our appreciation for you and all the years of service that you have provided for DDSN.
We are so proud of you. And she literally called me from her doctor's appointment.
I'm not getting for it.
She said, "You're not gonna believe who's leaving us." All right. Enjoy. We'll get it. Thank you.
Thank you all very much. So that concludes my director's report. As I stated previously, we're going to do, this was just a little token of our love and appreciation for both Steve and Lynn. Next week, we will have a party here at DDSN that will be much bigger and grander to celebrate them and all their years. Combined, I think it's what, 85 years of experience between the two. And you don't see that in state government anymore, so it's greatly appreciated. Thank you, guys.
You could make it 54.
This gentleman, I don't know who he is, right here.
Would you mind introducing yourself?
Yes, sir. I'm 4 years on with the FBI system, just a member of the
Okay,
and,
great.
Don't kick me out of Clemson grad.
That's all right.
We like that. That's good.
Good timers. All right. I believe that concludes our business here. We do have to go into executive session today. We have received a draft of the legislative audit report, and we will review the draft. We will make comments on the draft. And then, once the report is issued completely, we will, at that time, put it out to the public. But right now, it's just, we can't put it out right yet. Correct? Correct. Okay. If you have any questions, commissioners, can I have a motion to go into executive session? Motion, do I have a second? We have a motion and a second. We will be going into executive session. I'm calling this commission back to order. We are rising out of executive session. No decisions were made, no motions made, no decisions taken, no votes taken. Our next regular meeting is March 16th, 2023 at 10 a.m. here at DDSN. That is
To adjourn.
motion to adjourn. Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. We're adjourned.
Thank you.